Hey, everybody out there at Cheese Kingdom YouTube. It is your boy, Big Chief Sean, man. It is the beautiful Friday. We're here streaming, and I've got the BAK Talk boys with me. I don't even know what to say. I'm feeling so good right now. It's a beautiful night. Matter of fact, it's so beautiful. I'm going to go out of my way and ask y'all if y'all could just like and subscribe to the channel. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to get to the road to 1,000 before the end of the season. And with these two with me right here, I know I can make it real fast. Ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce these men to you. They are aficionados when it comes to the Chiefs game. That is only close to your boy's heart. First of all, let me get to my boy KEAS. What is up, man?
Hey, Sean. Thanks for having us on.
Oh, I appreciate it. You know I love you guys. Y'all mean a lot to me, and always the one in the dark. Y'all not ready to see what he looks like yet, you know. So we're just gonna call him Gooch. Explain yourself, Gooch.
The problem is that I'm always going, but I'm never too busy for Big Chief. You know what I'm saying? He calls, I answer. You know what I'm saying? So I'm right here with my partner KEAS, and we're gonna have some fun. Excuse the darkness. I'm on the East Coast. It is already dark out here, and I still want to be here, so let's do it.
That's what's up. And obviously, want you to boys tell them about your channel so they know where to find you, because I will have links down in the description for sure.
You know what? I'm not even gonna lie. Those guys are the brains. I'm just the talent. You know what I'm saying?
I'm surprised you didn't say the beauty, but I guess.
Oh, I mean,
I was gonna save that. I'm gonna save that for the next one, KEAS.
So beautiful, we can't even see his face on camera. Yeah, you can find us at on YouTube on BAK Talk Bros, and we've been at it 2.5, almost 3 months or so now. Of course, we all started out at RGR Football, all of us.
RGR family.
Yeah, we're still there as well. We're just doing our own thing as well, and we can do a lot more stuff on our own. So
we had gotten a comment that we were trying to saturate the market because a lot of us that started RGR decided to branch off. Understand that
no.
RGR is a different brand. Ryan is a different brand. There's still respect, which is why we're still over there. There's loyalty and respect, and he encourages us to go out and do our own thing. So we have different takes. Right. We all have different takes. You won't hear me and KEAS sounding anything like Sean. Sean won't sound anything like How About Those Chiefs. We all have different aspects that we look at, and we're still trying to give you great content on the one team that we all love.
It's like Andy Reid's coaching tree.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's real family though, right there. Family can split up and do their own thing, but when they need to get together, they get together and get it done. And that's what we all do. So that's how I feel about it. So thank you so much, boys, for that. But now that we've gotten all the introduction all the way, let's get to the first subject. We're going to talk about training camp. It's here. It's happening. Now, when we talk about training camp, first of all, y'all excited about it, or what's up? Let me know.
This will be the first year I don't get down for a day, I think. I'm trying to find some time, but this will probably be the first year in a long time that I haven't made one day. But even still, it's nice to know that the best time of the year is starting to ramp up. Football season gets the juices flowing. I don't know about anybody else, but for me, after Sunday, what gets me through the week is who's playing this weekend. You know, so then I can kind of, it makes my week a little bit more bearable. If a lot of you don't know what I do, I deal with a lot of disgruntled people, and Sundays are the one day I'm the guy that will walk up to his bosses and go, all right, it's football season, so there's one thing that Gooch doesn't do, and that's work on Sundays.
Oh man.
I thought that was because of your God complex, Gooch.
Oh.
No, I'm kidding.
Well, Keys, how you feeling about it, man?
That's for a different discussion on the Back Talk Boys. We can discuss that. I mean,
yeah, we will. Hopefully I'm there for it.
Back Talk Bros, not Back Talk Boys, because we don't want to get that whole Backstreet Boys thing going.
I blame Aaron's wife for that. I blame his wife for that.
But
she calls us
Back Talk Bros sounds good, though. I like it.
But yeah, training camp. I think the biggest thing for me at this point, because there's always going to be a player who gets overhyped. Right. So I try to not get my hopes up. I think the biggest thing for me though is, can a player get through training camp with can we get through training camp with little to no injuries, or especially major injuries, and then who's getting better as the time goes on. We're going to see all the flashy plays every day, when the reporters are out there, whatever they can get video of. We're going to see those flashy plays, but it's really going to be about the players who are continually growing throughout training camp, because really, until we get to preseason games, we're not going to know a whole lot. And so, once you get to preseason games, you get to see what the depth chart actually looks like, and you get to see who's getting playing time and who might be getting hidden, and start to figure out who's going to make the roster.
I totally feel that, man. There's a lot of things to worry about. Obviously, we now know that Ross is going on IR, and that's crazy. That sucks. I mean, they were smart enough to put him on IR so nobody picks him up, I guess. They must really have faith in this kid to even do that in the first place. Now that you know that, and pretty much, obviously, you guys know that Orlando Brown didn't show up the first day of practice. What are you thinking about that? How y'all feeling? Is he doing something? Is he trying to make a statement or something? Like, where's he going with this?
You want to go first, Gooch?
Absolutely, I'll go. Here's the thing. All he's showing now is that he's trying to be stubborn. It doesn't matter. At this point, he's going to lose money because the league mandates now, because they didn't come to a deal by, was it the 17th or 15th?
Yeah, the 15th.
By the time, now he's mandated to play under the tag. So the Chiefs are really in the driver's seat now, because they can elect to fine him, which I doubt they do, because they want to keep him happy.
I mean, obviously,
you know what I'm saying? But at this point, now you're just being childish and you're losing money. You know what I'm saying? Or risking losing money. And why would you do that? I mean, Andy's an offensive line coach, and he said it himself in his presser. He's not here. We'll move on. You know what I'm saying? And if anybody can make, aside from the debacle in the Super Bowl, and everybody wants to bring up the offensive line failures in the Super Bowl, I want to point out real quick that you don't normally lose an all-pro left tackle and an all-pro right tackle in the same season within games of each other. That generally doesn't happen like that. You know what I'm saying? And so now you've got your second string guys who aren't used to playing a bunch of snaps. Now you're asking them to go out there and block. Look, if any of you think you can block Sue or any of those boys that were rushing from Tampa Bay.
Vita Vea.
Right.
Damn.
I'd like to see you try. It's a hard job. Yes, I was mad and I was pissed like everybody else.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But I think Andy's prepared. I think Orlando's going to show up eventually, and he'll make his money, and he'll probably get a decent contract if he plays well. Also, I want to put out there on on behalf of the Back Talk Bros, the person that gets Sean his 750th subscriber, I will buy their Chiefs jersey this year. And if he hits 1,000 subscribers by the end of the season, if the Chiefs have a home playoff game, I will buy your ticket.
Y'all, I don't even know what to tell you, man. Gooch, are you serious right now, bro? This ain't even a cap. We're not.
Nope.
Even, this is not rehearsed, y'all.
That's on the strength. That's the Back Talk Bros. On behalf of the Back Talk Bros, 750. Whoever subscriber 750 is, I will buy you a Chiefs jersey from Jaden's Jerseys. Make sure you go check that out.
Check it out.
By the end of the season, subscriber number 1,000 gets a playoff ticket if the Chiefs have a home playoff game.
Which they more likely will, being us and everything. So
do they get to tailgate with you guys as well?
Yes, I will personally find you, and my whole episode will be about you. Since Gooch is my boy and he's going so far to do something and achieve somebody's dream of actually going to a playoff game, I'm going to make sure that you get the full red carpet. My whole, 3-hour episode will be all footage edited about you. I will make sure that you are the main focus of this. Obviously, while we're kissing Gucci and KEAS' butt the whole entire time.
You ain't gotta do that, man.
No, it'll be my honor. Trust me. What you're doing right now, it'll be 100% my privilege to do that. But for sure, yeah, I will make sure that episode will be about you. It's gonna look nice and clean. It's gonna be pictures and everything. It's gonna be a whole big spectacle thing, especially at 1,000 subscribers. Like, wow, like that's because we're close. Obviously, I'm close to you, but it's the game. We're trying to dig.
And just for the record, none of the boys knew I was going to do that. That just came up right there. I really think as content creators, we should help each other. And I believe that the people that watch us, whether it be on RGR, Big Chief Sean, Back Talk Bros, whatever, like, we appreciate you. And you guys should get something for being with us and putting up with, especially me, because half the time I'm in the dark, half the time I'm rambling, you know what I'm saying? And you guys still stay and listen. Me and KEAS fight over Orlando Brown. Like, we actually had a 3-hour fight on a 6-hour live stream, and people were just watching. I mean, like, so.
Because, man, and you better, oh my God, and KEAS, you still couldn't convince him, could you, man?
No.
Here's stubborn. Why are you so stubborn, Gooch? Man, like, what's wrong? Look, he's not. Look, see, you got me trying to prepare the mic for you.
I'm gonna say something real quick, and this is where KEAS says, my God complex. In my mind, I don't know how to fail, and that's what I have to tell myself every day to keep pushing. I don't know how to fail. So even if you tell me I'm wrong, and generally I may even, like, I agree with a lot of what KEAS says, I'm not going to tell him, because then I would be wrong. And then I failed. And I got to keep pushing.
Look, see, with logic like that, see, that's why I mess with the Back Talk Bros. With logic like that, they make you believe in your dream. That's why I always believe in their dreams, because these dudes dream big. And they deserve it too, man. These dudes.
Hey, Sean, I got a question for you.
What's up,
did you just hear him say that I'm right about Orlando Brown Jr.?
I know. Maybe your audio's messed up. It may be messed up. I don't know.
I said I agreed with some things. I didn't say you're right.
I heard a lot.
I heard something too. Even then, and look how hard that was. Even the admission of guilt, he still found a way to get out of it. He was like, "Oh no, I said I agreed with you. I didn't say I was wrong. I said I was right with you." That's what you missed out on that part.
I'm gonna jump back in and get us back on track real quick.
Right.
I'm glad Niang is gonna be on the pup list. I'm glad Ross is going to be on the PUP list. I honestly think, and maybe I'm going to be a little. Who else? Oh, and Fenton. I don't think Fenton is a starter when the season starts. I think he's a backup. I think they like those young guys. But I wanted to say this, and it was something that I was tossing around, and I was just getting ready to text the boys this right before I got the message because it was 9 o'clock and I needed to be on. I'm thinking that they're going to try and stash Niang and pray to God he heals. And they're not going to pay Orlando. And they're going to move Kennard.
You think so? That's a bold move.
Really, in all honesty, yes, it is. It is not. I'm not going to say it's easy or it's just like playing right tackle versus playing left tackle is a completely different monster. I understand that. But if Reed is saying that kid is light on his feet and he's a little more athletic and explosive than what we've seen on film, I almost bet you he gets, at the start of camp, probably reps at the twos at left tackle just to see if he can do it. And then you don't have to pay Orlando Brown $25+ million next year. You've got somebody under a rookie contract.
I mean, that's a bold move. We know that coming from Beach. Beach pulls that kind of stuff. I mean, that's why I love his brilliance, that kind of like, I don't bow to terrorists kind of attitude. You know what I'm saying? Like, not like he has his authoritarian, you know, like he's so dominant, he's walking around and establishing his authority. It's more of the, hey, man, this is business. We have to make this business efficient, and this is what we're going to have to do that. And with them throwing the deal at him and that arrogant move of not taking the deal, that clearly shows that Brown, I don't think, was mentally ready for the gymnastics, which is really football. Because first of all, them offering the money in the first place was just baffling to me.
I was stunned. Even with the fluff money, I was like, what?
That's what I'm saying. I was clearly caught off guard. They was just already ready to throw them the money, and I'm like, "What are you doing?" And I made that video, and a lot of people were agreeing with me about it. Like, bro, he needed to earn that money, and that's why I'm like, he did need to earn that money. He didn't do anything last season. It was just, but besides the point of that, it's just the whole point of getting offered the money and then just quickly saying no, not even taking a day or two to think about it. That's what made it sucks for me. You know what I mean?
Before we get Keys in, because I know my boy Keys has a lot to say on it, we're going to be quiet. If I was Orlando,
right?
Now the Chiefs had they guaranteed. If I'm right, Keys, let me know if I'm wrong. They guaranteed the first 2 years, but they gave themselves an out if he wasn't performing at a top 10 tackle level. So they gave themselves an out, and I'm thinking here, like, they threw the deal out there, sign it. By year 2 or year 3, if you're a top 5 tackle, you know what we're going to do? Restructure the contract. We don't want you to get to the $40 million a year in this contract. You know what I'm saying? So we're going to restructure you. On top of that, he would have been able to get a bigger payday because he would have got the 30, whatever they offered, which was the biggest signing bonus for a left tackle anyway. The signing bonus was the biggest for a left tackle. At least that's what I was hearing. He would have got to do it again when they restructured the contract because they wouldn't have wanted him to get to year 6 and get that fluff money. So he would have had 2 nice contracts, and he would have had the security that he wanted. Because I think we hear, oh, it didn't have enough security, and I think this is where his agent shows his newness to the game, because I don't know where we were at. I don't know what we were talking on. But inside the contract, what's not being talked about is, let me know if I got this number right, Keys, $52 million guaranteed for injury. So if he'd have gotten hurt, he'd have got $52 million straight up because it's guaranteed. You know what I'm saying? So there's security right there. Now all we're asking you to do is play ball. If you get hurt, here's $50 mil. You know what I'm saying? Like I can't understand it. I would have signed it.
Yeah.
And I think we were talking on RGR, maybe Back Talk Bros, and they brought up somebody brought up the article, the Chiefs are frustrated or disappointed in the contract. And I think Dan Harm said, nobody inside the Chiefs are talking to anybody. I believe that where there's smoke, there's a little bit of fire. You know what I'm saying? I really think they are a little perturbed because the Chiefs are usually hush-hush. But when things need to get out, things manage to somehow slip. And I think the Chiefs are a little disappointed that he didn't take the money. I think they really thought, hey, after 2 years, 3 years, we're going to take care of you again anyway. And you didn't want to sign the deal. So we're not going to play this game because next year you're going to be like, well, now I want $27 million. All right, so we're probably going to get a first-round pick for you.
Sounds like a win-win for us. So, Keys, how you feeling about this whole thing, man? I gotta know, brother.
Yeah, there's a lot to talk about here now.
Unravel.
I'm going to start with, I believe that the vets aren't required to be there until Monday, and so he's officially not holding out yet. Until he signs his tag, the team can't fine him, but he's not going to get paid, right? So either way, he won't have money. It'll just be a matter of if he's going to hold out, he's not going to sign it so that he's not losing money. He just won't be gaining any money. But yeah, I'm with Gooch on this one. Well, I you as well, Sean. But the thing that I found the most disturbing about this is because what reason would you have to hold out at this point? Both sides were, and honestly, the Chiefs were waiting forever for you to pick your agent. And I forget who it was now, but somebody was like, Orlando completely screwed up this offseason. If he really wanted anything close to what he was asking for, then he would have got an agent ASAP, and he would have been with Duke Manyweather, and he would have been working out with him all offseason to get his footwork as great as possible for the Chiefs to see it. So part of me thinks that his mentor, Jamal Brown, who's a former offensive tackle in the NFL himself, is a huge reason that he's being steered wrong here. But, regardless, again, as Gooch said, for me, it's like, why would you hold out? Are you afraid you're going to get hurt? Because eventually you got to play at some point. Like, the worst thing for your career is to give up $16.5 million, in a year of your prime. You're not Le'Veon Bell, who was 28 or 29 and on his second tag when he held out. Like, Le'Veon was going down. His career trajectory was going down at that point. So he didn't really have anything to lose by holding out, Orlando's 26 and his career is on the upswing. So he would be giving up a year of prime. Plus, there wouldn't be a year of film showing him getting better because, again, as you guys said, top 10, top 15, tackle, somewhere, in that range right now. So, how would that help him make more money next year? So I would really be confused. Is it being, as Gooch said, is it being stubborn? Would he be holding out simply to be stubborn? Because if it's the injury thing, or, whatever, if he gets tagged this year and next year, and he gets injured this year, there's no guarantee that he'd ever play again in the NFL. And his salary this year would be guaranteed. Your tag is guaranteed. So $16.5 million this year. If he got tagged again next year, it's around $20 million. That's $36.5 million. The way this contract was structured, and it's really more team friendly, than it's Orlando friendly. But the way it's structured is he gets like $31 million upfront immediately in that signing bonus. That's 85% of what he would get 2 consecutive years getting franchise tagged. And when you're getting franchise tagged, you're getting, that's divided by 17 game checks. So it's a little less than $1 million a week, right? And again, there's no guarantee of year 2 where you'd be getting a little bit more than $1 million each week. But with that signing bonus, you're getting it immediately. 85% of that 2-year tag total, he would be getting it immediately before he even played a down for the Chiefs moving forward. So to me, that was a dumb move to give that up. The other thing is, like Gooch said, $52.5 million was guaranteed for injuries. So that's probably 3, maybe 4 years of the contract, maybe the first 5 years. Realistically, it's only a 5-year contract. They would never even get to year 6, Gooch, because the there is no dead cap after year 5. The way that signing bonus is, they can go up to 5 years of proration. So $30 million is a little over $6 million a year over those first 5 years. So they could cut them after year 5, and they wouldn't even have any dead cap, and they would save $44.75 million or whatever. But they could probably cut him after 2 or 3 years if they wanted to, which is probably why part of the reason he didn't like it. His year 1 salary would have been close to vet minimum, I'm guessing, and year 2 would have been about $5 million. Because while the first 2 years were guaranteed, we know that he was only guaranteed around $38 million. So if you take that signing bonus and you subtract it from $38 million, you're left with somewhere around $7.5 million for 2 years of base salary. But again, that injury bonus is significant, or that injury guarantee is significant to me. $52.5 million.
That's weird.
And so for me, that's why you have to sign this deal, and why you really don't have an excuse to hold out. Because if you're going to say you're afraid of injuries, well, then you should have signed the deal, and you would, if you gotten injured, $52.5 million to never play again. Compared to what? $16.5 million for this year, and that's it?
I'm still just shocked even about the whole thing, and then him not showing up either. That doesn't even worry me. It kind of just accentuates what I've been thinking for the whole point of Brown overrating himself. We can get into that 104, and maybe we'll get into that a little bit later. But right now, let's get back into the whole training camp, dude. I want to ask you and Gooch a question. Real talk. Who's the shoe-in? Like, 100% right now. Let's start defensively. Who is the shoe-in do you think is making it starter right now, training camp? Go.
Starter, or who's definitely making the 53-man?
The 53-man. Let's just start here. Let's do a 50-man because it's still early and there's a lot of assessments going to happen. I mean, training camp hasn't really established itself. Everybody's just down there and getting stuff all together. But right now, who makes the big 53?
So it's starting with defense?
Yep.
Gooch, you want to go first, or you want me to go?
You might be busy. Partner.
Okay. All right. You can just disagree with me, Gooch. Well, I think Frank definitely makes it, just because of that restructured contract makes it impossible for them to get rid of now. So Frank, man, if I got to be certain on this, I still think Kendo. I'm going to say Noddy Jones and Carl Loftus on the defensive line. I think more guys are probably going to make it, but if you're asking me like 100% certainty, that's who I'm going to go with on the defensive line. Oh, and Wharton. I think he'd definitely make it. Linebackers, obviously Bolton, Gay, and Chenal. I think Chenal will clearly make it. I can't say certainly, but I still think probably Jermaine Carter Jr. makes it. I think he's one of the guys whose contract makes it seem like he makes it. Snead and McDuffie, of course. Right. I don't know that there's any other cornerback that I would be willing to say is 100% or close to 100% certainty. And then Thornhill, Reed, and Cooks. I think those are the guys who are as close to 100% certainty on the defense.
Okay, Gooch, give me some shootings on the defense, man. I want to see if y'all answers match up. I want to see this.
And who are we talking about?
Who is a shoe in for training camp? I know it's early. We all know it's a little early. We know they're just getting there and unpacking their stuff, and the rookies are kind of doing their thing right now. But right now, in your opinion, who's a shoe in for the Big 53? Defensively. Let's start defensively.
Defensively?
Yep.
I mean, are we talking about besides the usual suspects?
Yes.
Okay. You know what? You take out Chanel, Karlaftis, and McDuffie. I think obviously Reed because you signed him to the contract. Obviously Juan. I think Brian Cook's a shoe in. I think Lonnie Johnson's a shoe in.
So you think Lonnie's gonna make it?
I do.
Okay.
I do. I think that they're going to end up if they're. I'm not trying to say I'm a savant or anything like that, but they didn't bring all these long corners in to put Fenton on the field. I think Fenton's a backup if he makes the team. I think.
No, you gotta say that out loud again. Say that out loud again, because you're gonna have to stand with that because people watch this. So you're saying, hold on. So you're saying Fenton is sitting. That's what you're saying right now.
I think he is.
Okay.
I think
I can't argue with it, but that's a bold statement, man.
Here's the thing. Okay. McDuffie said he was dealing with a head injury nobody knew about. Everybody assumed it was the hamstring. McDuffie said in his presser this morning like he was dealing with a head injury, which is why he was kind of in and out. And I think with his look, Washington produces corners. They do. You put McDuffie with his explosiveness. I think he had KEAS a 40-inch leap.
Something close, 38 and a half, something like that.
For a guy his size, so you put him in the slot, you put Lonnie Johnson and Snead on the outside, I think Fenton's sitting. Because then even if you take, you'll have Juan, Reed, and I believe Brian Cook as the safeties, the first three safeties. And I think Fenton's sitting. I don't think he. Ryan said it best. Like he isn't super duper fast, but he makes plays. But when it comes to talent, you know what I'm saying? Fenton just kind of got in because it was either Fenton or Sorensen.
So Keith, do you agree with that, man? Do you think Fenton's sitting? Is he second stringer now? Like with the added of Lonnie? First of all, do you agree with him with Lonnie making it? And secondly, do you believe Lonnie taking him out and putting him sitting him on the bench?
Like, this is one of those things where we really have to get through training camp to know. Go ahead, Gooch.
Before you jump on that, I'm going to make another prediction. Saunders or Wharton is not on this roster when we break camp.
You're saying one or the other or both?
I'm saying one or the other. One of them is not going to be here.
Well, I would probably have a fit if you ever heard you say that out loud. And I love Colin Saunders too, so you kind of killing my buzz too. But
the thing is he has all this talent.
Yeah, he does.
It's always like something, some nagging injury or whatever that keeps him from, and it's just not. I mean, this is going to be put up here. Like Andy's going to be. They have to think about we're out of Mahomes' rookie contract. Now we got to look at the next 5 years.
Yeah.
And if you can't help us, you're hurting us.
Yeah.
And we can get somebody cheaper. Go ahead, KEAS. I'm sorry, brother.
Yeah, I would think that if one of those two weren't making it, it would definitely be Saunders, because Wharton has actually played and he's actually shown when he played. So I don't think there's any way Wharton doesn't make it, outside of something off the field happening. But as far as Fenton, I mean, we did get this news that he hasn't been playing because he had shoulder surgery or something.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, he said sitting, not cut, right? So,
Right.
yeah, I don't think Fenton, when they're out there in nickel, I mean, it probably depends on who they play, right? As Gooch has already said, he thinks that they're going to kind of mix and match with the other team's receivers and kind of do it that way. So it'll kind of depend on who they play. Are they playing teams with receivers who are taller, are jump ball guys? Then Fenton's probably not playing, those snaps. Are they playing teams with shorter receivers? Then maybe Fenton is playing. But I mean, clearly, I would think that it's going to be Snead and McDuffie, depending on how they do it, both playing outside. Maybe they put Lonnie Johnson outside and kick Snead or McDuffie inside. I think that those two guys give them the flexibility that they can certainly do that, which is nice. So I think there's a good chance that Lonnie Johnson makes the team, but I don't think it's a shoe-in. I mean, they gave up a conditional 2024 seventh rounder for him. So, they took a flyer on him, but they weren't willing to give basically any kind of value at all. So, I mean, that tells you how big of a question mark he is. He's either going to be good in our defense or he's not even going to make the team. So,
Wow. That's deep. That's deep. Those are some pretty good predictions, though. I mean, both of y'all seem very well rounded on your answers, man. And it does kind of worry me about Colin Saunders. I mean, excuse me, when you put it like that, and then you talk about the health issues with him. I mean, it does require. I'm not going to lie to you. I am a big fan of him. I mean,
I am too.
But it really does hurt the fact that every season it's almost his time to shine. And boom, it's a leg injury or it's another something else with job or something's tweaked for another end. So it could be a possibility. It's a scary possibility to me. I wish he would just just heal up and be ready to go, but maybe he's just not. Maybe it's just he just can't get it together. I don't know. Maybe it's crazy. But now that we went on defensively, or at least as far as defensively, that like the power, I would really like to know y'all opinions offensively. Who's in? Like, because there's a lot of people applying for the job, as we all know. There's a lot of people just popping up. I want to be wide receiver. Like, so who makes the offense? Like, hands down. Let's go.
Yeah, I think this one is more polarized than the defense.
Yeah.
Simply because I think there are less questions, but the questions there are like way more debatable or bigger hot topics, right? Like we know who the quarterback is and the backup quarterback. We have a pretty good idea.
Do we?
Yes, we do. Yes, we
Because
absolutely do.
No, wait. Do we though? Because the Chiefs had to bring Shane Bouchel had to bring Bouchel to the active roster to keep teams from snagging him. And I found out today that if we let Henne go, it only hurts us for $3 million.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
So we could cut him. We have the $3 million hit, yes, but with Bouchel's contract being so small, it really doesn't hurt.
So you talk about taking a little slap on the wrist to get a bigger game.
What I'm saying is that if he outperforms Henne in training camp, I wouldn't be surprised to see Henne not on the 53. Now, of course, Henne has the experience, but if Mahomes, everything they say is Mahomes has that killer memory, he doesn't need a teacher now or somebody to bounce things off of. You can do the youth movement with the guy who has similar traits to Mahomes and you don't have to adjust the offense if, God forbid, Mahomes gets hurt and Michelle has to get on the field.
I mean, that
Go
would be a
ahead. Tell me
shame.
I'm wrong, Keys. Go ahead.
Well, my memory was that the number was about $4 million, but I've looked at both Spot Track and Over the Cap, and there are two different numbers. They're both like way off. Like Spot Track has it at 3.26 million guaranteed, or for the cap hit, the dead cap, and Over the Cap has it at only 2 million. So I mean that would make a big difference on which number is right.
So you're saying it is, but at the general most point, it's like 1 to 3 million. At whatever, getting rid of Hendy is at least 2 to 3 million at the most.
It would cost between 2 and 3.26 million.
That's not too bad. I mean,
no, which in the NFL for dead cap, that's really kind of like pennies.
Yeah, I mean, that could pick up a 1 year player or something like that. That they can pick up along the way. That could.
Well, I mean that's all dead cap. So we wouldn't save a penny if we cut him. It would all be money that's counting against the cap without the player. And then if you have to replace them with Bouchel or whoever, and they're getting a vet minimum contract, you got to add that expense on top of there.
So you're saying it's cheaper to keep
Bouchel is still on a rookie, bro.
You said Bouchel is still a rookie? I mean,
he's still on a rookie deal.
That is true, though. But I think right now, I mean, maybe it wouldn't be bad to stick. Well, Henny is a very reliable person. That's the thing. That's his shtick. That's his thing. That's his thing since day one. He's been that guy that just consistently does him. And the 3 million cap, I mean, so Keys, you making it where. So from what I'm hearing from the both of y'all, actually, let me get on that. From what I'm hearing from the both of y'all, it sounds like Gooch, you like cut him, but Keys, you like keep him. And you're saying the 3 million cap space, because in reality it is pennies compared to all other things. But you saying, Keys, that like keep him, let's see if we can work it out and use that money for something more beneficial, or you just saying like, just keep him because he can still play?
I'm just saying I think they do keep him because of that, whether it's 2 million or 3.2 million. I mean, we have like what? Somewhere around 14 million in cap space or so.
Yeah.
And so I'm not sure how many players they're going to cut and just have a bunch of dead cap counting, because there's about a half a dozen players that they've guaranteed $1 or $2 million to, who are veterans that they went out and signed this last free agency, in March. And so if some of these guys get cut, you're going to be piling up the dead money there and then paying a guy who wouldn't be on the 53 to take their spot. And so that's not going to double up on money, but it's going to be like 1.5 times the amount. And you're going to see that cap space start to go down. And when half the fan base is clamoring for us to go trade for a Robert Quinn or someone, that's going to be a big deal if we need to go out and get a defensive end. So I'm not saying I want Henny to stay on the team. I'm not saying that at all. I'm with Gooch in that I'm ready to move on, and I don't think Pat needs that guy. I think with Nagy coming back, Nagy can be that guy for him. And I know there's guys out there, who make the argument that we need to have Henny or a veteran quarterback for at least a year or two more, but I'm not one of those guys. I just think because of the money that Henny will be back.
Okay.
Let me throw this little tidbit out too, real quick. With the state of the quarterback market and the teams that don't have a viable option, what if Henny becomes trade bait? Think about that.
You really think Chad Henny's trade bait?
I think that there are people who would love to have a reliable veteran backup who's seen it all behind Trevor Lawrence or Davis Mills down in Houston, or
like a Sam Darnold or something like that.
Right. Like, I mean, even there was an article that I read today when I was thinking about this that said almost the same thing. Like, Penny could retire if the Chiefs cut him, but he could end up on another team because he's proven he can play still. You know what I'm saying? And he's a legit option for a veteran stopgap. Say Baker hurts his shoulder again. You know what I'm saying? Or
I mean, he could also threaten to retire if they tried to trade him. I mean, he's getting up there, and you going from Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes being Patrick Mahomes' backup, you know, and knowing that you're going to be playing in the playoffs every year, to go into maybe the Panthers or the Jags as a backup.
Or the Panthers, well, okay. I'm trying to be optimistic about them. Honestly, I see no anything beneficial coming out of the Panthers. But so when it comes to Henry, I just don't know if he's trade worthy. Like, yes, you're right though. I mean, he is very consistent. He is who he is. He is that nice 3 to 5 yard game kind of quarterback, and he could do that for certain teams. But you talk about like trade value. Like, what do you mean like trade value? Like a little 6th round trade value, or like where you going?
Well, you're not gonna get anything huge.
Right. That's why I'm like trade value. I'm like, I was kind of seeing what you were saying with it,
but for what's he making? $7 million this year?
Is that what he's making?
$10 million at most, KEAS?
See, what a lot of y'all don't know out there, KEAS is like a number cruncher, right? Like he is the best. He is the best at it.
Chad Henne's contract. What's he making? Like $10 million?
No. His cap number is basically exactly what he's making.
Right. So he's making.
Depending on which source you're looking at, it's that $2 million or that $3.265 million.
So that's just like a guaranteed thing. That's just like
you don't think some team would look at Chad Henne for $3 million and go, you know what, Baker's hurt for a few weeks, or he needs some. Who are we talking about just now? Sam Darnold needs somebody to learn from, or Tua's struggling. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I mean, I guess I can see that, but I don't think the other teams have anything to offer for a Chad Henne right now. You know what I mean? Like a lot of teams out here. Well, maybe not the Jets or anything. Maybe not the Jets. I mean, maybe they have.
Don't discount Beach and Hunt and draft picks, with the draft being in KC next year.
Okay.
I just doubt that he wants to be traded.
Yeah.
I think he's happy where he's at.
I mean, I kind of agree with y'all both. I mean, but then again, a lot of people don't really care about success and really want. But when it comes to Chad Henne, I really do think he believes in this program that much, or I think he's trying to be here. I mean, that $3 million that can be used at other vineyards, but as long as Chad Henne stays the consistent guy that he is and gets us through the games that we need to, I don't really see no point in getting rid of him either. I don't really think it hurt the team much. Like, it's not really a big deal if he's here or not, but rather have him than not, because I mean, who else would we replace it with anyway? You feel me? Like, there was no really anybody I would trust at this point that would not get familiar with the playbook soon enough for me to be comfortable with him anyway.
See, and here I thought that our debate was going to be whether we carry 2 quarterbacks or whether we carry 3 to have Buechele on the roster, not whether it's going to be 2 period and it's Henne or Buechele.
Well, just I think we all in agreement with the simple fact that 3, quarterbacks is not too heavy, but I don't think that the quarterback position is going to be something they are focused on right now. Just seeing that we still have an offensive line to get together, especially what Orlando's doing with all the back and forth he's been doing, and then I hear a gang and them are still out. And so we have so much issues at offensive line. I don't really think the main focus is on quarterback for real. So I already know that's probably why even if they do have three, it's going to be probably nobody important. But the thing for me is, and I wanted to know your opinion on, does Kelsey get help this year in the tight end position, or is he just a carry horse again for a whole nother season? Which is nothing wrong with it, I guess. I mean, he's able to do. He's at his prime. Obviously, he can do that. But does he get that help that he needs this year? I mean, is there somebody? Does Blake Bell step up? Does God, I
Noah
can't.
Gray, Jody Fortson.
Yeah, Jody Fortson. That's the one I was thinking of. Like, do any of them have a breakout season at the tight end position? Because right now, Kelsey is the man. Obviously, we know that he's the best tight end in football. But obviously, he's going to need that help. But especially how I'm thinking, how the offense is going to be run now. It's not going to be the flashy abracadabra kind of offense anymore. I think we are going to go with the hard cut, old school, just tactical, boom, 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 boom. And those kind of formations, you're going to need two tight end sets, especially for certain formations. So do y'all see any of the tight ends actually stepping up this year besides those? Like, is there one you see?
I mean, I think the obvious one, as long as he's healthy, and he hasn't really lost anything from his injury last year, would be Jody Fortson. Right off the top of the bat, I think that's kind of the obvious answer. I think it'll be disappointing if we don't see Noah Gray start to take more steps up, though, whether it's in training camp or preseason or the actual season. And so I think this is his make or break year, because if he can't show improvements this year, I think he gets a pass for last year, Yeah. But I think if Noah Gray doesn't show improvements this year, I don't think he's going to make it another season. So, but yeah, that's my take, and that position I think is, again, it's are we going to have three players or four? I think the discussion is whether Blake Bell's going to be on the team or not, and I think he will. I don't necessarily want him to be, but I do think he will. So I think we will have all four.
Of where we stood not too long ago.
Right. So you think you agreeing with KEAS on that's who you're looking at too, Jody?
Yeah, Jody has the most to prove this year, because he made the practice squad 2 years in a row.
Right.
Then he finally scratched himself to making some plays. Then he made the roster. Then he got injured.
Yeah.
And this is really kind of like he needs to show he's back. For them to trust him, and he could be the replacement.
Really? I mean, from the catch we all saw, that beautiful catch where he got injured. I mean, that does show the potential.
I'm sorry. I wanted to say one other thing. I also think this is CEH's last year, and I think Pacheco takes a grown man's job.
And I was going to get to that after we talked about tight ends, but since now you brought it up, give me 1, 2, and 3 running back right now. KEAS, you first, my dude. 1, 2, and 3 starter, number 2, number 3. Go right now.
Starter, number 2, and number 3. What I think or what I want to see.
Both. I want to say first what you want to see, and then.
Well, what I would want to see as my 1, 2, 3, I think would actually be more like, and again, I got to see him in I have to actually see him, but right now I think, and I don't care which order, but Pacheco and Gore are the two that I really want to see. And then after that, I don't really care if you go Ely or, CEH. I think Rojo is on this team because he's CEH insurance. I've said that from the beginning. That's what his contract looks like, because he can make up to $5 million in incentives, which tells me that they can also cut him and save $750,000 with only $750,000 in dead cap, which tells me that, he's there for insurance. If they have to start him because CEH is injured again, or, he's just not effective, then Rojo can start and he can earn up to that $5 million. But if CEH makes it, through the preseason and he's healthy and he looks great, then I believe Rojo is going to get cut. So for me, that's how I look at it. And then after him, I would put Ely is probably the next one to get cut because I think he can easily go on the practice squad. And he's kind of a slower guy. But, man, I'm always – listen, I want to see Pacheco take that grown man's job. It's an awesome quote. The dude is fast. He's kind of powerful. And so to me, that's exciting. I can't wait to see it. But I'm always going to be a Gore fan as well. And I realize he's a little bit older, but he's the only player in the Chiefs running back room this year or even last year with some of the players that left that had a 50-plus reception and a 50-plus yard run. So I like me Gore, I like me Pacheco. But I think what the actual order will be is CEH, again, they'll maybe Rojo, and then Pacheco, I think, and then they put Ely and Gore, try to put them on the practice squad.
Gooch, I think I'm having a feeling that your list is going to be a little bit different from King's. Am I right, dude? I have a feeling because he said some names, but there were some names not on that list that I've heard you talk about personally.
All right, so
give me those, man.
I think the preseason and the season starts CEH, Rojo, McKinnon. I think that's what initially happens, and I think Pacheco does returns. A lot of people are like, the one thing about Pacheco, and it's the one thing that everybody points out, even my partner just said it. It's a hell of a quote. But I don't know if anybody's done any real work on Pacheco. Let me tell you about this kid. He runs hard. He runs behind his pads, and I make a joke about this guy once an episode on the Back Talk Bros, but he reminds me of Hunt, the way he runs. And the one thing that if you go back and watch some of his college stuff, he didn't do returns. He wasn't really a good receiving back, but he took the time and then he started catching more passes. Then he started being more reliable in the passing game in college. Then around his late sophomore, early junior year, they started having him do kickoff returns, and you could see how he gradually got better and better as he was being coached. Now, the one thing that Andy absolutely adores in players is if they are coachable.
Yeah.
And who better to teach him than Andy Reid, who's a former offensive lineman, our special teams coach, who, I mean, he's been around so long. I think he might have been in Super Bowl I. Toad Daddy. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's where a lot of people are going to be surprised, because with the receiving choices that stay, because you've got your kick returner already in the running back room. And I'm with Keys. I think Rojo is CEH insurance, but I think it goes down a little different. I think Rojo gets cut before camp is over or before the preseason is over, and I think they start the season CEH, McKinnon, and Pacheco, and they try to get Gore to the practice squad as the insurance. And then I think by the end of the year, I think Pacheco takes a grown man spot and CEH negates himself to. Because see, here's the thing that a lot of people don't talk about. Like, if CEH doesn't step up, and Pacheco does, Pacheco is first and second down. McKinnon can do third, because he's, as a veteran, as a pass catcher stuff, regardless of how much Pacheco works, he's better. He's got the experience. So now you don't even have third down plays for CEH, and this is his last year. So catch an injury or don't show any explosiveness like you normally don't, or struggle, and I don't think CEH makes it. Well, he'll have to ride the bench, but I think it's by the end of the season, it's Pacheco, McKinnon, and I'll throw Gore, and Ely goes to the practice squad.
I think Andy is way, way, way too loyal to. I mean, I think CH would have to be either injured or he would have to be. He would have to have a manifestation of a fumbling problem for Andy to get him off at number one. But I do want to go back and say I completely McKinnon slipped my mind.
Yeah, I was weird.
Yeah, he just slipped my mind there. So I got to go back and put McKinnon in, and because he's an interesting guy.
Yeah.
He did have a lot of explosive plays, and a lot of them were in the playoffs simply because the Chiefs held him back all season, and that's kind of the iffy thing though, Gooch, because one, he waited really, really late to come back to the Chiefs, but two, they really held him back. Like, I think he basically doubled his stats in the playoffs, if I recall correctly, or he had the same amount of stats in the 3 playoff games that he had in the 17-game season. So they really held him back regular season. And I don't know if that's because of his injury history or...
I think they did it because Gore had an explosive play, but they were few and far between. And the one thing you can count on from McKinnon is he has, even at his age, has enough shiftiness that he could be a big play at any moment, which is why they rode him in the playoffs. They needed somebody explosive. Guess what? Pacheco's 22 years old, and he's got all the explosion. You know what I'm saying? And I think Andy's a loyal guy, but I also think, and this is where we talk about this sometimes, longevity in the game, right?
Yeah.
Andy's end is closer than his beginning. And I think he wants to maximize, what is he, 64?
64, 65, right? KEAS, how old is he?
Yeah, 64. He just turned 64 in March.
Okay, so Belichick, who is, and I'm not a Belichick fan, but let's give credit where credit is due, is probably the greatest coach in NFL history.
Probably, yeah.
And he even said himself he's not coaching past 70. So if Belichick
is going to stop
this
year, he's already 70.
Oh, he's already 70?
Yeah, he turned 70 in April.
Yeah. Oh, okay, because he had said numerous times that at 70 he was done.
Well, we never know. Next season he might, if this year don't go for him, he might just actually go. You know what?
But I'm thinking with Andy and his knee replacements, hip replacement, and all of that, and he always, his wife stands by him, but as KEAS can attest, there's nothing like time with your family.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You can love something all you want to, but eventually the family tugs. And I think he's not going to waste time if
unless you're Tom Brady.
Yeah.
even him at a point is even getting scolded by his wife. I mean, she's hot about it. That's why he's so ready to take that Fox job next season. The wife was just like, that's enough. And he's like, my wife went through it. So it's true, man. It's true.
I just think that Andy's not going to waste time trying to figure out if he's got it. CEH has got training camp and preseason to prove he's the number one back, or I think that's a wrap. I think Andy starts, because think about it, Kareem Hunt wasn't supposed to start the season as the starting running back.
Right, that's true.
But he showed out and forced the hand. If Pacheco forces the hand, Andy's going to ride it, because Andy is soft-spoken and he's loyal and he's the big old teddy bear that loves cheeseburgers. You know what Andy loves more than cheeseburgers?
Winning.
Barbecue.
Winning. Winning. He does not. He hates losing culture.
Right. Andy wants wins. You know what I'm saying? He's what, 4th all time in wins? He'll never catch Belichick.
No. Not at this stage. If he'd came here a few years earlier, he maybe could have.
but to have the opportunity to go to with Mahomes, realistically, he probably wouldn't hit 10 Super Bowls like Belichick, but to go to 5 or 6 before he retires.
It's still a possibility, man. If Beach could make sure, and that's why we talk about so hard about this. So, yeah.
To win more than one ring, to have as many wins that when they talk about the greatest coaches in NFL history, it starts with Belichick, and the next person you have to say is Andy Reid. I mean, that's being done right now.
Yeah.
Best defensive coach in football is Belichick, hands down. I don't care what the Bills did to him in the playoffs. Me and KEAS said the same thing. You gave Bill Belichick a whooping. You gave him a humbling. Bill Belichick has had all offseason to sit and stew over the fact that you embarrassed him on national TV in front of millions of people. I promise you that doesn't happen again this year. And Andy Reid is the greatest offensive mind. Everybody's like, oh, the guy in St. Louis, or oh, Shanahan, or oh, yeah. But nobody thinks about the fact that every one of those guys is concepts. That's the new genius on the block. All that stuff comes from Andy. They're just taking variations of Andy's stuff and using it. You know what I'm saying? I mean,
it is kind of funny at the point that when people do talk about being offensive minded, that it's kind of funny that sometimes Andy isn't the first name to come up, but it should really be the only name that come up. So you're right, man. I mean, but
the only reason anybody is using any of these trick plays is because Andy spends the first month of the offseason watching nothing but college.
Yeah.
He's the reason why the college offenses are coming to the NFL. When they talk about it, the first person they mention in that aspect is Andy. Yeah. Andy's the one bringing it in, knowing it could work. He watches that stuff, old and new.
So I'm going to throw out a couple things in favor of Pacheco, since Gooch had already went there. Gooch, you compared him to Kareem Hunt, and the reality is his 40 time is a quarter of a second faster than Kareem Hunt. So
really?
He ran a 4.37 and Kareem Hunt ran a 4.62, I believe. So
but a whole quarter of a second. Look like a 4.6 in pads.
So Pacheco might look way quicker than a 4.37, as well. And the other thing talking about, receiving is, we got to remember that our wide receiver coach became the running back coach a year ago. So that's the guy we have teaching our running backs to catch and how to run routes and release and all of that.
That's that's true, man.
I'm making Gooch's point for him, so
yeah.
You're welcome, Gooch.
I appreciate it, partner. I like Pacheco more than I like CEH.
Really?
I think Rojo, with what KEAS said, is insurance, but Rojo doesn't have hands.
So both of y'all don't think that CEH just had bad luck or just having a bad run at it right now? They really just think we wasted our time with CEH. That's why I asked.
I mean, I think it's a yes and no thing. Yes, he's had bad luck, with the gallbladder, surgery and losing all the weight and having some of the injuries that he had. But at the same time, I don't know how much of that would change my biggest issue with him. Because while you can give him a break on those things, none of those things change the fact that he runs like a 4.52 or whatever it is. Or even closer to that Kareem Hunt, 4.62, he just doesn't have the explosiveness
or the
height as well.
He is very short.
And so
I think they say he was as tall as MJD, or
I think he's my height. I think he's like somewhere in that 5'6" to 5'8" range.
Yeah.
And, I don't think Pat wants to throw him, balls.
Pat doesn't trust him.
You think Pat don't trust him like at all? Like
I don't think Pat trusts him. I think the one thing
receiving. I think he's talking about.
I think Pat sees what a lot of people don't. Like, let's not forget, like, Clyde Edwards-Helaire benefited from going to LSU and playing with Burrow. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And
that's right.
You're playing in the SEC. You're really one of the only two top dogs in the country between Bama and LSU. You mollywopped everybody. You've got boys in there. Like, let's face it, more NFL players go to the SEC than anywhere else. You know what I'm saying? And if your linemen are amazing, of course you're going to look great. I think Pat doesn't trust him because when he hands him the ball, he sees there's no explosion. You know what I'm saying? And it's something that I'm going to quote Tony Gonzalez, and I'm going to do it terribly, but I'm going to quote Tony Gonzalez, and he goes, okay, you're in the NFL now. What do? Oh, you run a 4.4? So does that guy and that guy and that guy and that guy. Oh, you can catch the football and be shifty in the open? So can that guy and that guy and that guy. You're not better than everybody else when you get into the NFL. Chances are you're worse than most of the people that are in the NFL. And yes, he had the gallbladder. Yes, he had, the unfortunate hip injury and all this, that, and the other. I'm going to point something out. Hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. We see pictures of Mahomes and Kelsey playing golf, but you know what we see more videos of? Mahomes and Kelsey working out. You've seen more videos. I've seen McCole for the first time put a video out. The boys catching passes out of the jugs machine with one hand.
Yeah.
Try that.
I have yet to see a video of CEH not wearing those big ass sunglasses and bouncing his dreads in the wind. Not a single workout vid. Not a single. Nothing.
So wait a minute. What was it, Keys? You just said something about that. That is true. I haven't seen Tyreek do a one-hand catch. I was just about to say, like, I heard you say that, man. But I mean, that is a good point. I've never seen Tyreek really try to one-hand anything. Usually he tries to catch to his chest because he loves them when they pop out of his hands or something. I don't know.
Yeah, if the ball, oftentimes, if the ball looked like it was going to be above his head, you would see him like hop up, right? So he could catch it there. But yeah, I'm obviously joking because Tyreek still has the most amazing catch that was, an unofficial incompletion in NFL history. The touchdown he caught, against Denver or whatever, that nobody knew, and Andy didn't challenge, was still the most amazing body trap, ever. Right up there with the David Tyree, catch as well. But yeah,
look, Tyreek caught that. Tyreek didn't know he caught it. That's how good it was.
He straight told Andy. We all saw the footage. He straight told Andy, like, I don't know if I caught it or not. I'm not sure. I'm like, dude, how you not sure, man? And then Campbell just shows him just going.
And see, that's the thing. Like, Andy trusts his players, but one of the things that look, it doesn't matter if you didn't catch it. Yes, you caught it. You know what I'm saying?
Just challenge.
I caught it. How many receivers know the ball drop to the ground and go, I caught that?
Right.
I caught it.
I'm always still should have challenged it. Okay. But that is true. Okay, it's true with the Tyreek thing, and obviously the one hand. But now we're talking about Miko Hartman. I appreciate you actually segueing into this case. Now, when you talk about Miko Hartman, obviously we saw all the interview today, especially on ESPN, about him saying, "Oh, now with Tyreek gone, he's going to be the Tyreek. He's going to be Miko. He's going to be Tyreek. He's ready to want to do the speedster moves, the speedster attacks, the slant routes to get past everybody, and all that kind of stuff." Do y'all believe him?
Let me quote Patrick Mahomes here. I will see it when I believe it. No, I mean, seriously, here's the thing, right? I think it was last year. Last year, Sammy's gone, and coming into the season, McCole says, I was playing the role that I was asked to play.
Right.
And, like I said to Gooch then, I said, I don't care if you're asked to play a role. You got to go out there and train with Mahomes. And we didn't see those videos last year, right? He wasn't training with Mahomes. He wasn't sticking right next to Travis and Tyreek and working out with them and picking their brains, at least that we saw or ever heard of. And it's like, I don't care what they tell you your role is. You got to go out there and improve yourself, make yourself so much better that you force the issue, you force them to change your role. So now this year he's saying all the stuff he's saying, and I know there was some guy out there, and maybe I'll be the next one. They'll cut up this video and they'll put me on Twitter for saying this, and then McCole can tweet me, tweet at me and talk about how much I know. But the reality is I don't care what you're saying. I've never lived in Missouri. I'm not from Missouri, but if you slice my arms open, I'm going to bleed that show me blood. So that's where I'm at right now. Until the onus is on McCole to prove everybody wrong. Because right now, he's had 3 seasons to do it, and he ain't doing it. It's on you, bro. It's not on me to give you the benefit of the doubt and just, look at it super optimistically. I'm a realist. He's got to show it. He hasn't shown it. It's not on me. It's not on me for doubting him. You can talk all the big words you want, but until you put it on film, it doesn't mean nothing.
Do you agree, Coach, man? I mean, what do you feel about Miko Hartman?
We should do who's going to make this roster for wide receivers. Also,
well, we were going to get back to that, but I mean, you brought up Miko Hartman. I kind of wanted to know your opinion on that. I got you boys here.
You missed your cue on the segue, Gooch.
I think
you dropped the ball like Tyreek.
I think McCole is dangerous in space, like Tyreek.
Okay.
I think he's less than a half a second slower than Ty, but he's dangerous in space. You give him the ball in space, the one thing that kid can do is find space.
That is true. Okay.
My problem with McCole is he is shit sloppy with his route run. He's not crisp, which doesn't help him get separation. Because now what we've seen over time is that when he was blowing up initially, teams weren't playing the too high shell. So his speed was getting past them. I still haven't seen any.
Did we lose him?
I don't know. I'm not sure. I think he's trying to get it together. But
I'm sorry. I haven't seen him working on his route running, which is a problem.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And I'm with KEAS.
Yeah, I was about to
say. Don't talk about it. Be about it. You know what I'm saying? This is your contract year, and let me tell you something, brother. On paper, Tyreek got $30 million.
Right.
But Tyreek proved himself in Andy Reid's offense. If you don't prove yourself, you're not going to get that kind of money. And the Chiefs will let you walk because we also have MVS who runs the same speed as you. We've got a crap ton of receivers. Justin Ross should be healthy. He runs Tyreek's speed.
Well, I mean, say after the injury, but yeah, I agree. Well, but before we get back to the wide receiver thing, because I do want to get back to that for your y'all picks for the training camp of wide receiver. So both of y'all pretty much saying that even I'm just playing devil advocate, obviously, because I really would like to just get in depth with this just a little bit longer. So when you talk about Tyreek Hill and you say that no benefit of the doubt like that, even though through his rookie season he's had some clutch seasons and everything like that, you don't think that was the Tyreek thing holding him back? Obviously, I'm talking to both of y'all. But, so you don't think it's the Tyreek thing holding him back? You think it was just he's just not that guy? Is that what y'all both saying, or?
I mean, I'm not going to hold a receiver's rookie season in our offense against them.
That's fair.
You know, and again, I mean, McCole has skills. You know, I don't think either of us are saying that. And I don't even think we're saying that he can't even have a bigger year this year. I think he highly likely will have a bigger year this year. But I think what we're saying is it's not because, at least we haven't seen it so far, so we have no reason to believe that that bigger year will be caused by having greater talent necessarily. You know, some of it may come from Tyreek being gone, and as Travis getting older, he's getting less snaps. You know, and so I'm not even anti Miko Hartman. It's kind of more like dude, you know, make yourself better. You know, you've had your whole career now in a locker room with Tyreek and Travis. You know, Tyreek took himself from Jalen Ramsey's all-pro returner thing and made himself into a legitimate receiver. Yes, he has issues. Yes, he runs, you know, a little bit sloppy routes, you know, himself. Yes, he can be a body catcher at times, and he still has things to tweak, which is why he's arguably a top 3 or 5 receiver, not top number 1.
Yeah.
But he went from a guy who, you know, played a lot of running back and was a return man and made himself into a legitimate receiver. And that's what we haven't seen from McCole. And it's not that we're anti-McCole. We want to see it for him, you know. Like, we want to see him want that because he has the guys. He has Travis. Travis could be throwing all kinds of knowledge at him. He should have been, you know, pounding at Pat's door every second of every day, wanting all kinds of reps with Pat so that he can continue to grow to be a top receiver. You know, and now he's going to have a room with Juju and MVS to, you know, to share additionally. So we should see a huge jump this year. Okay. I hope for his career we do. I'll be rooting for him. I just got to see, you know, what we haven't seen.
You just got to see more. You got to see it now that he could be the number 1. You just want to see more. It's more production.
It's kind of like, you know, it's kind of like Orlando wanting number 1 money. Like, dude, you got to show me a bit more.
Yeah,
is all I'm saying.
Yeah. Okay. I mean that's fair, especially with Miko. He hasn't really done too much to try to step up to be the guy now. It's kind of an all or nothing situation now. You know, if you don't show up, I feel like that. Yeah, I agree with the both of y'all on this one. I mean, if he doesn't show up this year,
I'm gonna put something out there that's gonna be really, really unpopular.
Oh Lord.
And I like McCole.
Your face?
I think he's I think he's a good dude overall. But I think a lot of people don't remember that he didn't start playing receiver till his senior year in Georgia, and it was out of necessity because they were down receivers. He was strictly Tyreek, punt and kick return specialist.
I read about that.
You know what I'm saying? And maybe the nuance of the receiver position is too much. Now, obviously, I want him to do great because if he's doing great, that means he's got a full grasp of the offense. And if he's doing great, that means Juju and MVS are doing great, which means Kelsey's doing great because we're spreading the ball around. So I'm never one to want, if I'm not going to let myself believe I failed, I'm not going to wish failure on anybody else.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But as far as what I've seen out of him, NFL wise, professional wise, it's almost like he's still in college. You're out here catching one-handed passes, impressive, especially coming off the jugs machine. I'm not going to take nothing away from that.
Right.
But you're doing this on your own when all these other receivers, including Travis, are down in Texas being coached by Mahomes on where he's going to throw the ball and what he's thinking when he sees this. And you're like, oh, we'll get together at training camp. This is where, you know what? You know what it is? You know what it is? I finally figured it out. Took me another year, Keys. This is him winning the Super Bowl too early and thinking this shit's sweet.
You talking about Miko or Patrick?
Miko. He went from winning the national championship
right.
to winning the Super Bowl his first year.
Right.
And I don't think he's hungry. I think he thinks because it was his first year, everything that he did is good enough, and he's not trying to get better when there's always levels you can reach to. Think of it like this. Here's a prime example, and it's a different position. Aaron Donald has been considered the best defensive tackle in the game for 8 to 9 years. There's been like no discrepancy. Right. Nobody's argued it.
No.
But he does something different in the offseason every year to make himself stay great. He continues to work on those things, and he finds something to work on. You know what I'm saying? As much as I hate Tom Brady, you know what? He finds something to tweak in his delivery or his drop back or his footsteps, or he watches more film every year to still be playing. Like all the great ones do it. Mahomes, he said today, working on my footwork, because me and Keys have been preaching that all last year. What'd you work on? Working on my footwork so I can deliver the ball more accurately. Thank you. I'm sorry. That was a whole tangent. My bad.
Hey, man, it's all good. You know, this is why I love. This is why I love you boys being here, man. Because y'all bring the real, and I appreciate that. Y'all know I do, obviously, and I appreciate everybody still being here. And if you could hit the like and subscribe button, that would be dope too. But back to the point of the wide receiver thing, we're gonna hurry up and get to that because there's something else I really want to ask you to. But right now, come on, give me your 6. Is it 6 or is it 5 or 6?
I think it's 7, and I think this surprises 7? A lot of people.
Okay.
I think Andy is going to keep more offense, and the defense is going to be on the shorter, but there's a lot of people they like over there.
Okay. So give me your 7. Or, I mean, and if you want to add Ross, I mean, you can, but we all pretty much know he's not.
Nah, he's not. So Ross is going to make the team, and he's going to be on IR all year.
Right.
He's the stash.
Okay.
So it's McCole, Juju, MVS, Sky Moore, Josh Gordon. Is it Watson, Keys?
Justin Watson.
Yeah.
Justin Watson, and then Darius Fountain.
Okay. Keys, what you got, my man?
And I think Darius and Watson are 2 of Tobe's guys, so they'll play special teams, even though, because everybody's like, oh, the 5th through 7th, they have to play special teams. I think Gordon is the one person that won't, and they'll draft 2 more receivers to do just that. I mean, not draft, but they'll keep an additional 2 receivers that can play special teams for Tobe.
Okay. All right, Keys, what you got, my man?
Yeah, I don't think, like, I don't hate what Gooch said. I mean, Veach said 5 or 6, so I'm kind of stuck on that until Veach proves me a liar. I think it'll be 6, simply because I do think they're going to go heavier on the defensive side, with that DB room. And so, I have the same first 4. And then additionally, if we do end up with 3 or 4 tight ends, I think that it pushes the need for a 7th receiver. And if they do throw the ball more to the running backs, whether that's Pacheco or McKinnon, or they do surprise us and they start throwing to CEH more, that's less targets for a sixth or seventh receiver anyway, because those four that Gooch started out with, McColl, Juju, MVS, and Sky. Sky might not get a whole lot, as a rookie, but at least those first three. And if Gordon makes the roster, he's probably, right there in targets. Travis is going to get his targets. If Jody is healthy, Jody's going to get his targets. So, right there you're looking at 6 guys or so, without even talking about, which running back's going to get a good share, or if the 2 or 3 of them together are going to get a good share of targets. So really your need for, a 6th or 7th receiver, to get targets isn't there as much, as why I'm more inclined to think 6. And, whether it's Josh Gordon, and, I know Gooch and I are all over the place on this, because, not that long ago, Gooch thought Josh Gordon was going to get cut, and then he was going to be a practice squad guy that they bring up and down. Of course, the Ross news came out, and so he was, on a lot of people's list. For me, the one guy I think that's consistently there is Darius Fountain, because he did make the roster last year.
Yeah.
So he has a year in the system, which gives him a leg up on other guys. But it also means, if he hasn't improved at all from last year, right, that probably also is going to make them want to cut him, because you still got to have that improvement. But he also played some special teams last year, so I think he will be a guy that makes the wide receiver room. It's kind of going to be iffy for me between Josh Gordon and Justin Watson as the other guy, since Justin Ross likely makes it on, goes to IR or whatever. So it's going to come down to whatever they see from Josh Gordon, in my opinion. Well, Gordon and Watson, between the two of them. But we got to see a lot more from Gordon. We got to see a lot closer to what we were expecting last year compared to what we got. And unless Watson or one of the other options really drops the ball, it's going to be, I think it's Gordon's spot to keep based on what he shows. And it's got to be more, again, than what he showed last year. So for me, it's going to be those 6 spots for that reason.
Okay. I think both of those answers are pretty on key. I mean, I wish I could find a disagreeing point, but damn, especially right now, especially how's everything going, those sounds like a perfect 6. Now that we pretty much got the entire roster put up together, and obviously we don't really need to talk, like I said earlier, and I was going to get back to that, and I'm getting to it now. Obviously, we don't need to talk about the quarterback position, but there is something about the quarterback position I do want to ask you to. With everything going on and all the spectacular, the good plays, the SBs came up and everything, got game of all time, right? That wasn't misconstrued, right? That's what I heard. It wasn't game of the year, but game, like best game all time, right? Is that right? First of all, I mean, I'm not sure of that.
I think it was best game of the year, but
Was it best game of the year?
I don't watch ESPN anymore.
But I know we won a reward for the game itself because it was an amazing game. Right. We all can agree with that.
Yeah.
But with that accolade of last year and the upset of, the Bengals and the Super Bowls and all that stuff like that, with the roster stacked up as it could be and the potential it is, the last thing I really want to ask you to is Mahomes under pressure this year? Is the performance? Obviously, we know he can perform. Obviously, that's nothing to it. But being that he's been close now for so many times and hasn't achieved it, is he under pressure? Like, is he under pressure to keep still that top echelon of quarterback, or is it just, hey man, just run the course, you're fine, don't worry about it, you got plenty of time to get this right? Like, I would like to know your opinion. And Gooch, start me off with this, brother. What do you think? Is Mahomes under pressure? Gooch? Well, I think he's having some audio problems. Just go. Keys, so what do you think, man? Is it Mahomes under pressure, my dude?
This is a great question. I think on one hand, I understand, where people might be quick to throw out the Aaron Rodgers comparison, right? He won one early, won a
Right.
Super Bowl early, and he hasn't won one since, but he has won, some MVPs since then, and he's still regarded as one of the top quarterbacks.
Yeah.
I guess it depends on, in his mind, who he's chasing. Because, like I said, you have that with Aaron Rodgers. Dan Marino is one of the best quarterbacks to ever play, and he doesn't even have a ring.
Right.
While you have a guy like Trent Dilfer, who's, not even on anyone's radar who has a ring. And so you always have situations like that. And so, it kind of depends on who is Mahomes chasing, at least in his head. Because I don't think the pressure is really from, maybe it is, maybe it's from everybody else. Maybe he sees Josh Allen or Joe Burrow becoming everybody's new flavor of the month.
Yeah.
But I believe the guy when he says that all he cares about is winning. And so, I think it and maybe he does slip into that sometimes, because he had the early Tom Brady comparisons. And if you want to catch Tom Brady, you got to nail most of your shots.
And yeah, and that's what I mean about being under pressure because, I mean, he's getting all the fame and all the attention, which he should because of the way he plays. He's a revolutionary quarterback because of his style of play. Everybody's starting to accentuate more into it, even though people have evidence of Aaron Rodgers doing a little bit earlier in his career and all that kind of stuff. That still doesn't deter the fact of what Mahomes has done.
Right.
And obviously doing the wonderful performance at the Super Bowl, winning it, and then the year after that going to another one, and all the AFC championships. Now that it's more AFC championships in a row, and it seems like, well, you know what I'm saying. Like it went to Super Bowl to AFC championship, and then it seems like to go down a little bit more, and it just seems like it feels like he's under some kind of pressure because it's like, when is he going to get back to that peak position? Like everybody's not going to, nothing is finite. And it's just, I feel like to me, he may be kind of under a little pressure. And that's why I wanted to know your opinion about it too, Gooch, because is Mahomes under pressure? Like, is he in trouble? I wouldn't say in trouble, but like, you know what I mean? Is his stock cool? If the season doesn't go right, could his stock go down? Basically.
I mean, I think he's always under pressure, though,
Right.
right? Like,
Yeah.
I think last year, and part of this is based off of what we've now learned from Tyreek, just how he's, the things that he said. I think he was under pressure last year to feed Tyreek the ball. We didn't necessarily know it then, but, when, Tyreek's complaining about the look that he's getting early on in the season,
Right.
I think that was communicated in some way to where Pat felt that pressure, that he either had to throw the ball to Tyreek or Travis. I think that the year before there was some pressure with, especially in the Super Bowl, the offensive line. And so, I just think every year there's been some pressure. You have Burrow and Allen now, and even you could even throw the whole AFC West in there, because you have Herbert and Wilson, and Carr has Adams, And so, yeah, I'm sure he does feel a good bit of pressure. I don't know that he's expected to win, outside of Kansas City, though, because of all of those things. Other people are seeing Herbert and Allen and Burrow, and they're kind of putting them on the throne. And, even on the NFL Network, putting the Chiefs, the guy picked the Chiefs to be fourth in the AFC West. We have a tough schedule.
We do.
Whatever happens with Orlando, Tyreek's gone now. So I think in a way, some of that pressure has been taken off because people are actually expecting less out of Pat. But it kind of depends on him, right? If he wants to prove them wrong, he's going to put extra pressure on himself. The other thing is our defense is constantly putting pressure on him. So, and the lack of And I can't say, I can't blame it on Andy because Pat's the one making the call on the RPOs, but the lack of actually being, I think there's pressure on Pat that, he has to put on himself, like, Gooch said, to work on his footwork, to be more mature with his decision making on whether he's going to hand the ball off on an RPO or keep it, even when the defense is dropping 7 or 8 into coverage, right? So I think there's definitely pressure. I think it just depends on where it's coming from and to what extent. I think a lot of it is local pressure, whether it's Chiefs Kingdom, the fans, or from Pat himself.
Yeah, so you think he just just because of who he is and the accomplishments, their wise, everything. Every year he does something, or there's a special play, or there's a special, because he's a special dude, and that's what I was getting at about the pressure thing. Because, like you said it verbatim, right on the nose, man. He won the Super Bowl super early, just like a Roethlisberger, but unlike Roethlisberger, he came out with more rings, and that's, I would say, a lot of pressure, especially the faith that everybody's put in him. I mean, not only has, like you said, with Chiefs Kingdom putting so much love and faith in him, obviously the organization put faith in him, putting $500 million on him. You know what I mean? Veach put faith in him because, hell, Hilaire is on the team because Patrick felt comfortable by getting him. You know what I mean? Just like his words make sway, man. Like, if he feels a certain way, he could change the dynamic of the team with a snap of a finger, but yet he stays as humble as he is. But when it comes to the football part of it, it's not him. We all know it. Especially when it's really bad situational stuff, like especially last year with the Bengals game and everything like that. And then obviously, as Gooch brought up earlier in the video with the whole Tampa Bay thing and them rushing them and still getting off those passes, I feel like, you said it best. He is under constant pressure, and that's what made me want to get down to those nitty gritty details of what pressure, what is causing the pressure, what is the main focus of this pressure, because it's I wouldn't say he's declining. Obviously, that would be a dumb thing to say, especially how great he is. But the difficulty is going up, and now without Tyreek, he has even more to prove. So, like it's like it's building up, and I'm just wondering, to the both of you, of getting on that pressure, where do you think that, is there a breaking point to it? Does he step up to the plate, or will? I mean, I would like to know your thoughts on this, man. So, Keys, obviously, man. Like, what are you feeling on this? Like, is it will that pressure cause him trouble? Like, will he find a way out of it? Like, you know what I mean? Because obviously obviously everybody in Green Bay puts pressure on Aaron Rodgers every year. And especially last year, the debacle what he did in the AFC Championship, I would think there's pressure on him, especially how much they're paying him. So do you think it's that kind of level of pressure, or is just, do you think that Reed and the others just want him to succeed, like to try to get back to that glory of the Super Bowl? Like, what, you know what I mean?
You want to get this, Gooch?
I'm going to start with a little quote. And I'm going to date myself, and I'm going to tell you to go look at the rest of it if you want to know my true feelings on it. But the quote starts with Christopher Walken going, "You ever watch those nature shows on the cable? You got this lion mane out here in the middle of Africa. He's so big. He's so hot. Go watch the rest of it. That's Mahomes. I don't think I was here for most of it, so I'm gonna talk about what I caught and keep going.
Okay.
I think Tyreek was a diva in the locker room. I think that while he's on this podcast, can I get the pill, please? He may not have been an extreme diva, but I guarantee you he carried himself a little differently than he normally would, and it was seen.
So he's not a diva. He's more of a prima donna, is what you're saying.
Right. I think Patrick noticed it because Patrick's good with people. He's a humble kid.
Yeah.
He was raised right.
Yeah.
And I think in the second half of that Bengals game, he got tunnel vision. And I think it's because something was said in the locker room. Not just, I do believe the enemy and him thing, I believe that happened, but I also think Tyreek felt like he should have been getting more touches or more attempts thrown his way.
Right.
And I think because of that, during that last drive, Mahomes missed Byron Pringle wide open in the end zone because he was trying to get it to Hill. I don't think there's any pressure now, because if you think about it, in the beginning, we weren't talking about just Tyreek Hill.
Wow.
We were talking about how Mahomes was hitting 8, 9, 10 different receivers, and we were blowing people out of the water, and they were all underneath passes. They weren't, everything wasn't over the top. Majority of it was catch and yak. And I think the pressure's off from that aspect because Mahomes is like, now I've got 6'2" and taller receivers, and I can throw to everybody.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I think Tyreek running his mouth. Look, petty, when you're the king of petty, you know petty when you see it. And people like me use slights, rather real or perceived, as fuel to shut you up. Please believe Mahomes has taken all that It Need to Be Said podcast, all the people saying that the Chiefs are going to finish fourth, all the people saying that Josh Allen is the best QB in the league.
Love him. They love him.
All the people's like, please believe he's got a mental note. This is a guy who counted to 10 when he blew out Mitchell Trubisky in Chicago Field. Running on the field, counting to 10, like, y'all picked him at 2, and I was at 10. This is the guy that dropped 5 touchdowns on the team, and as he's running to the sideline, he's counting to 4 because they said he was the 4th best player in the league.
What? And you know what's so bad when he did that? I was really thinking he was doing it the fact that they did the top 100 and he came out number 4 that year.
That's why he did it.
Yeah, that's what I was.
When they asked him, he did the petty laugh like,
yeah.
Nah, that wasn't this because I had 4 touchdowns. You ain't never done that celebration on 4 touchdowns before.
Yeah, you've had plenty of games where you've had more than 4 touchdowns. See, now it's pure personal. Just like, oh, yeah, that's how you feel? Well, I'm number 4.
And
I'll just put it like I'm number 1. Yeah.
I read an article a couple months ago. And somebody wrote, it wasn't even somebody from Arrowhead Pride or anything like that. It was somebody random that was like, the Chiefs have won the Super Bowl, hosted 4 AFC championship games, went to another Super Bowl, and still don't get respect.
Facts. 100%.
The only
facts.
team that has won, here's the thing that, little fact of trivia for you. The only team that's won more games than the Chiefs since Andy Reid's taken over are the Patriots. It's Patriots, Chiefs, a long slide of wins to whoever's third. So I think Mahomes takes all this. I think he's really worked on his footwork. I think he's done more stuff than a lot of people realize. And now that Carr's got Adams and
I never even thought how was that even a proper substitute to call that team great. I mean, I guess they have Waller or Walt, whatever his name is. I never thought that one player constituted a super or a playoff caliber team. I mean, that's weird. You hear Devontae and you're like, oh no, the Raiders got better. I don't see how he is the deciding factor on the entire team's aspect of a win. Like I've always found that crazy. Like I mean, I get it, get your money, but these narratives that people keep holding on to is you play your wide receiver a ridiculous amount of money, you're going to get the best season out of them no matter what. And we both know that's not the case. You can play all the money you want to whomever you want to, especially in football, but that doesn't guarantee the outcome. And that's what blows my mind about the whole Raiders situation. Like they want to call contest.
Hang on. And I'll tell you why people are saying that. Now, Devontae Adams isn't going to make that team, but I have said it, and KEAS has said it. The fourth best quarterback in our division is no worse than second best in every other division in this league.
That's true.
If you go down every other division and you put Derek Carr on any one of those in any one of those divisions, you're going to look and be like, damn, he might be the best or second best in this division. That's how hard the West is going to be. But they're still the Raiders. And the Chargers right now are healthy. Wait till after preseason game 1. They're still the Chargers.
What do you think, KEAS, man? Let me know, brother.
Hang on, brother. Hang on.
Oh.
I haven't said the Broncos because I want the Broncos to do well.
Really?
Let me tell you why.
Okay, I was about to ask.
Because I need, for every Back Talk Bros episode and every huddle, I need to have that every time we beat the Broncos. I need that meme of Russell Wilson going, Broncos country. Let's ride. Let's ride. I'm done. Go ahead, partner. I'm sorry.
What am I answering?
The
Raiders thing, or
yeah. Well,
I forgot where we're at now. I think Gooch took us to, or we ended up someplace different than where we were at.
Yeah, we actually did, man. Because obviously, at first we were talking about Mahomes being under pressure about everything, and like I was saying to Gooch, whatever. It's funny how they made the Raiders a contender just because I'm getting Devontae Adams, and that doesn't guarantee the outcome of any kind. And obviously, I brought up to the fact that we don't have Tyreek, and that puts Mahomes under a little pressure because of the hype of those two being together. You know what I mean? Like those dudes made magic together, regardless of what anybody believes. Those dudes made legendary moves, iconic moves and plays, just because of those two alone. You know what I mean? Yeah. So to split them up, and we all know it won't even matter if Tyreek has a good season or not, because he knew what he signed up for. We knew what he signed him up for. Going to Miami, because you still got to go through the bills and everything like that to even contend. So when it comes to the pressure of Mahomes, he won't have that safety net of, well, I'll just throw this slant and Tyreek will do it. So I was just talking about the pressures, and it was just kind of funny how, people talked about the Raiders are going to be this new team, this emergence of this new team. They haven't even done anything yet. And it's just, that's what we're getting on. But still, down to brass tacks for real, talking about the pressure of Mahomes, it's like, what do y'all, and I was asking, what do y'all feel like, where is that breaking point? Does he get over it? Does it hit him this season? Like, you know what I mean? Because of the pressure. Like, does he overcome it over at all? Will there be a game where it will happen? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, and again, I think the AFC West, I could see arguments for and against why that would either add pressure or take away, since everybody else is expecting less from the Chiefs this year.
Yeah.
I think that a lot of it is just everybody's starting math. Everybody's starting from the end of last year because that's the last football we've seen. And so you have the Raiders making the playoffs last year, and they do so with having to promote their special teams coordinator to head coach because John Gruden is fired. They have to, their speedy wide receiver ends up in prison, and they're overcoming all these things, and they end up making the playoffs, and then they go out and they add the top receiver in the NFL. And so that's where the math is coming in from, the Raiders side of it, is right. Because all of these things happened, they still made the playoffs, and then they add in the best receiver in the NFL. So that's where the math part for the Raiders is coming in at. Meanwhile, on the Chiefs side, everybody's looking at that Bengals game. And it's one reason why I think Mahomes might have, some extra pressure on him. I don't necessarily disagree with, what Gooch said, but I think there might be some pressure on Mahomes because of the way the season ended, because of that second half is what is in everybody else's mind. However, it's in Pat's mind too, but it's what he's doing with it, that matters and what is different for, fans, whether they're Chiefs fans or, fans in the rest of the NFL. We're all doing something different with it than what Pat is doing. And that's what Gooch was saying, it's motivating him. But that's where everybody's starting out at with the Raiders and then with the Chiefs. How the Chiefs season ended. And then you have Tyreek gone on top of that. You have Tyrann Matthews gone on top of that.
Exactly.
And so people are subtracting, from where the Chiefs ended, and they're adding, for the Raiders where their season ended. And so, I think that's where it comes in. But, I don't really know if Pat's under more pressure or not. Gooch has listed his things, and he's made a good point. I've listed a lot of things. I didn't mention his family. His family is growing. His brother is gone. Some of these off-the-field dynamics there. But he and his wife are still really busy with things. They have ownership in other sports entities and everything. He's a busy guy. I think for me though, I think there is pressure. There's pressure to go out and dominate, when they're facing these too high looks a heavy amount of time. There's some pressure to, even though he did it without Tyreek, he still wants to shut people up. And I think he can do that, but it's a question of, does he put pressure on himself or what he does with that pressure? Gooch gave a quote. I'm going to give a quote. I'm a Cubs fan, and we got our first World Series in 100 and whatever years it was.
Yeah,
2016 with Joe Madden, who, you love him or hate him as a head coach or as a manager. We're talking baseball here.
Right.
And he had a big mantra that he used with the guys on that team, because you have 108 years or so, looming on you. It's a huge pressure on your shoulders. And one of the things that he said that he told his players day in and day out is, don't let the pressure exceed the pleasure. And so that's like the huge thing, right? Is you're going to have the pressure. Like, you're playing professional sports. You're playing on a perennial winner. You started out your career, your first season with 50 and 5,000. And, you barely missed the Super Bowl. Then you make it back and you win it. And then you make it back and you lose. And then, you have that loss. There's always going to be pressure in every season. You think Tom Brady doesn't have pressure every season? Of course he does.
Well, in some cases, especially when we're talking about the now Tom Brady, I don't feel like as much as pressure is.
Well, some of it I think he manufactures for himself, right? To keep himself driven. Every year is fresh. It's kind of like
so reality. I think it's more motivation than pressure, because
it's what you do with it. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But with Mahomes, seeing that he has the accolades, or at least really good accolades at to this point, but can he get back up there? Can he reach that mountaintop again, and not just be labeled as one of the man, he got the ring, but so mediocre
Aaron
compared to the
Rodgers.
other. Yeah,
Well,
exactly.
not
I don't think
mediocre,
he
but
wants
yeah,
that.
one ring and then done.
Yeah,
Closer to Aaron than he is closer to Brady.
heck, he's about as close to Russ as anybody else in the league because Russ did the same thing. You know what I mean? Like, and that's the pressure right there because we all know he can. It's not like maybe he slipped or maybe he lost his step. We know he didn't. We know how great he is, and man, just to be under that kind of pressure that there's nobody doubting him. You know what I'm saying? Like, to me, if that was me, even though to me I would still step up to the plate and do what I got to do, being Mahomes and knowing that nobody's questioning your greatness, I feel like that is a lot of pressure. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like people are expecting, well, he may do okay. Or with the team he has, he'll either will or he won't. We know he'll do it with or without the people he has on his team. Like, I don't want to boost Mahomes up to God levels, but he does make people better. He does, and it's a natural fact. He's proven it time and time again. And I was just figuring about that pressure because, I hope that pressure does not get to him because, especially with the season that we're having this year, like you mentioned, KEAS, this season is going to be difficult. And then you brought up the AFC West, which we're going to have to see all those teams twice this year, and that could be a problem. You know what I mean?
Right.
Let me
Gooch, let me ask you really quick. Gooch, let me ask you if you disagree. If you did, and you can disagree whether he has pressure or not, but if you were to agree that he has pressure, would we be in agreement that the biggest point of pressure would be our defense?
No.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm actually going. Normally, I would say yes, absolutely.
Okay.
But This is gonna be a tale of two cities, as it were. I don't think it's hard to have pressure when you're playing with house money. And what I mean by that is you got a kid, and most kids of famous or world class athletes don't pan out like their parents. And you've got a kid who wasn't super recruited out of high school,
Right.
went to a perennial loser in the Big 12, got basically, what do you call it, Keys? Dressed down on national TV with the draft about how terrible he was and how he wasn't going to make it in the league. You turn around, you get drafted by a successful NFL franchise. You get to learn, you get the team its first Super Bowl in 50 years. So you're going to already be a Kansas City legend for life
Yeah.
because you're the only quarterback to do it outside of Lynn Dawson. So you're already a legend for life, and you're playing with house money. You know what I'm saying? I think if he's going to have a bad season, it'll be this year because of all the new components. And that's why if there was pressure, it would be the offense. Because now, everybody's bringing up, well, he played 5 games without Tyreek. This is what he did, and it was great. And now he's got to show the world that this team is more than just me chucking deep balls to Tyreek. So I think he's going to press in the beginning. Because he's going to try and show that they're more than a one-trick pony.
Sure.
But if it was any normal circumstance, if our offense was coming back and we weren't bringing in new, like, I'll never want Demarcus Robinson back on this team, but if we were bringing all those guys back, then I'd be like, yeah, the pressure's the defense.
Yeah.
Because now Mahomes has to put up at least 35 a game to make sure we're in it. That's just to make sure we're in it. But I think now the pressure is proving he can do it without Tyreek, getting these guys acclimated. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, that's why I said Tale of Two Cities.
Right. Yeah, I think there's a lot of things that, again, it's going to come down to what he does with it. Because you can even look at, Eric Bieniemy, like trying to make the offense look good enough to get him hired. Because, I think Pat cares about those things, whether it's Tyreek getting his money, McCole being, getting his money at the end of this season, Juju being a free agent again after this season, and EB, constantly not getting jobs. And I think he cares about people. And I think that he does put some of that extra pressure, on himself. But
and that's where he's like, I hate saying this, that's where he's like Brady. You know what I'm saying? He cares about his people. Brady wouldn't come out of the game till he got Gronk that catch for $1 million.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and I mean, I hate giving that guy any praise, but that was some G shit. You know what I'm saying? They're like, you're out. No, I'm not. How many catches you need? 1? All right. Now I'm out. I think there's only I know for sure there's only 3 quarterbacks who will pull that off: Brady, Mahomes, and Rodgers.
Yeah, that's they're straight up.
And I'm with KEAS too. I think there might be. I think he's proven to be a student of the game, and people compared him to Brett Favre when he came out until they realized he was a lot of Aaron Rodgers and Brett Favre mixed. The only difference is that unlike Rodgers, I think Rodgers got his Super Bowl and got complacent, and I think he worries too much about his touchdown to interception ratio because it's the best ever in NFL history. And I think, and it was proven. Peter Schrager, Good Morning Football, shout out to them. They actually did a little graph where quarters 1 through 3, Aaron Rodgers was the most aggressive quarterback in football those 3 quarters, chucking the ball downfield, but in the fourth quarter, he was the least aggressive quarterback, whether they were winning or losing. He was the least aggressive quarterback in the NFL as far as throwing the ball. So it's almost like he's done what he had to do. If we win, great. If we don't, whatever. And he might be the most talented person we've seen throw the football since Dan Marino, if ever.
That's a bold statement, brother.
It's a fact. If you love football,
yeah,
there are very few pretty balls out there, and most of them are thrown by Aaron Rodgers.
I am not going to comment on pretty balls.
But you know what,
What's your next question? I'm sorry, I get to talking and.
Oh no. We're gonna finish this out, man, because we're going over the 2-hour mark, and I know y'all got things to do tomorrow, and I know y'all getting restless, man.
I ain't got nothing to do. We keep this joint going. We did a 6-hour live stream.
Oh shit. Okay. See, I gotta remember that, man. This is my first stream, man. I think we need to get back into the groove of doing this, man. Especially doing it with YouTube, because I always love doing this with YouTube. But I really want to leave a final note. I want y'all to, before we go right now, okay? Do we do it this year? The big one. I know it's early. I don't care. Do we have it? Is it where everything laid out? Do we have it?
Do we have what?
The Super Bowl.
Yeah.
The ring. The trophy.
The one.
You want to take it first, Gooch?
Yeah.
All right. Since this is the last one, I'm I'm going to throw y'all for a loop because I want y'all to come back. So before I do that, for those of y'all watching this, I know we're not live right now, but when you watch this, shout out to the DAN show. Make sure you check that out. That dude does his own live streams, and he has some good videos out on sports betting and
Friday
stuff like
nights,
that.
7 p.m. Central.
Explains it
Yeah,
to you
please look
and
out for
everything
it.
like that. Shout out to How About Those Chiefs. We're gonna have that guy on the huddle at some point. Cole, the red bearded dragon. Shout out to Big Chief Sean. I want to put out there again, in case I don't get to say it again, $750 is a jersey, 1,000 subscribers is a playoff ticket. It's on the strength.
Y'all heard it live. That's legit.
Hey, when you get to 749, can I unsubscribe, wait to get back up to 749, and then be 750?
Hey, wait a minute. That's my plan. Wait a minute.
Make sure you check out everybody out there from the RGR. We're all out here.
RGR family.
If I was, I've got 3 answers. If I'm a Kool-Aid snorter, I'm going to say if Spags is as good as everybody thinks he is when his defense is implemented with the right people, yes. The conspiracy theorist in me says that for some strange reason, Tom Brady has a magical final run in his final season and wins a Super Bowl and miraculously gets a lot of calls nobody's ever heard of. That's the conspiracy theory in me because, they love them some Tom Brady.
Right.
Now, the realist in me says I think the AFC Championship game is the Bills-Chiefs again. If it's in Buffalo, we lose. If it's in Kansas City, we win. And as far as the Super Bowl, see, unless it's the Rams, we win.
I mean, I get your reason.
Actually, you know what? Yeah, unless it's the Rams, we win. And it's not even because I don't have faith in the Chiefs, because by that time, our receivers, Jalen Ramsey is really the only thing in that defensive sector. I know they've got other guys and partnered with Jalen Ramsey. They're great. But I don't think they have an answer for our offense. I think if it comes down to Chiefs Rams in the Super Bowl, the problem will be number 99. And I like Creed. I think he'll be an all-world center. What is this, his second year, KEAS?
Yeah, this will be his second.
If he had to go against Aaron Donald right now, I think it would be Tampa Bay Super Bowl all over again, except this time it'd be up the middle. Because I think Aaron Donald would wreak havoc to the point to where they'd have to put Tooney and Trey to make sure they chipped Aaron. And then I think it just leaves too much room for an infiltrator. You know what I'm saying? What you got, KEAS?
I'm going to start off by countering that point by pointing out that the Bengals had one of the worst offensive lines in the NFL last year. And there wasn't the Rams defense didn't completely dominate that game, right? It wasn't a blowout where Burrow was running for his life like Pat was in Super Bowl 55. And our offensive line is much better there. So, I'll throw that out there that I don't think it would be quite that dominant, but I do see where you're going with that. I don't know if I can give 3 different answers because, I look at myself as a realist, and realistically, there's a spectrum of outcomes that could happen to where absolutely the Chiefs can make it back and win. They still have the top head coach and quarterback combo. And, lots of other variables, set aside. To me, that's the best combination, the best recipe you have for success is head coach and quarterback. And I'll put Andy and Pat, against any other head coach and quarterback combo out there. Not that there aren't some that are also really, really great, but they're not at that level. So for me, one, I think it depends on how well the wide receiver group gels, but it also comes up to how the defense gels too. I don't think Spags is a great defensive coordinator, but he is coaching for his career this season, without a doubt. And I don't think it's possible, ranking-wise, for this defense to start out any worse than last year's. If you believe Tyreek's podcast, and I haven't listened to the last couple episodes, but what I heard was that he said there was a lot of infighting in the locker room last year. I think the Chiefs got rid of some of the big-mouthed players in their locker room who were supposed to be leaders and were not leaders. And I am specifically talking about Tyrann Mathieu and Anthony Hitchens here. Something I thought was interesting, I don't know if you guys caught this interview that Mitch Holthus did on TV this last week, but the guy doing the interview it was a local TV station, asked about Tyrann and how the Chiefs were going to miss his leadership. And Mitch didn't mince his words. He also didn't even hesitate to say that he didn't believe that you were going to see, that you were going to miss Tyrann for his leadership, or that there would be any kind of drop-off, on the defense from a leadership perspective with Tyrann being gone, which made my ears perk up. But I just think that, it's going to be a question of, because I think the youth, right? I think the physicality, I think you're going to see improved tackling, a lot harder hitting, just a more in-your-face, physical defense that's also faster. They're going to have their hiccups. But I think that, all of those things are going to help them overcome some of that. So really it's going to be, how much can the offense carry the defense until the defense starts to get it together. And if that all, once that all starts coming together, I think all bets are off at how good this team will play as a team. But I do think that, and I know Gooch is a little hesitant about how the offense gels, but I think that's why you're seeing unprecedented things from the offense, where Mahomes has all of his receivers down in Texas and they're working out before you even get to, any of these things. And he said, between OTAs and between now, the start of training camp, he said they would be back in Texas and they were all going to keep working on things. And I think this is why. I think they understand the offense has to be clicking from the beginning, because it's going to take the defense time to gel. It's going to take the rookies time to learn to communicate properly, to learn this defense. I do think those things are going to make up for it a bit, but I am expecting the offense to be basically ready to go from week one, and they're going to have to carry the defense. And if they can do that, then I think the Chiefs are definitely playing in the Super Bowl and would definitely have a great chance, the best chance in the NFL of winning it. But if those things don't come together like that, then, things could get a bit ugly.
I appreciate both of y'all, Candy. I appreciate both of y'all honest answers. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Back Talk Boys. This gig, KEAS and Gooch. I was so overwhelmed by the both of them. And also, they have Aaron Morrow on the channel. They're all three high prop hitting guys. Their content is one of a kind. Please go to their channel, subscribe to their channel. They know what they're talking about. That's the reason why they're here right now. I would like to give props to both of these brothers to give me time out their day to talk to me about Chiefs. And obviously, this will not be the last time they will be here, of course, right, y'all? Hopefully, right?
Absolutely, and thanks for having us on, Sean.
Of course.
We're always willing to be here, and we're always willing to have you come over to do anything with us as well. So,
yeah,
it's always there.
Yeah, man, and definitely big shout out to my boy Gooch. That's right, everybody. Y'all heard $750. You get a jersey. 1,000. You will get a ticket to a home game if it's a playoff home game, man. I don't know what else to tell you. So let's try to get this road to 1,000. So if you like this video, you like the content, why don't you give it a like and subscribe? Let's get to the road to 1,000 so somebody can enjoy the playoff game this year. Huh? This is your boy Big Chief Sean saying thank you to the Black Talk boys. I am forever humbled you guys coming into my channel. Thank you so much. Thank you, Keas and Gooch. And remember to always follow the arrowhead because it leads you in the right direction. Straightforward. Peace.
Thanks. Later, guys.
Later.